Jessica, thank you so much for being here on SVTV. It's a pleasure having you here.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
So, you've been a copywriter for more than a decade. Why did you decide to create your own company? And why a marketing company? So many questions I've bombarded you with. Let me hear it.
Well, as I was just telling you while we were chit-chatting, I've been a copywriter my entire career in various capacities for various companies and freelance as well. And over time, I started noticing that my freelance clients were asking me for online marketing advice. What social media sites should they be on? What email newsletter tools should they be using? And I found myself thinking, if that many people want advice from me, maybe I should start getting paid for that.
Yeah, why
So,
not?
yeah, so I started Horizon Peak Consulting just to kind of combine my copywriting and my editing and this new thing that I'm doing, which is marketing consulting.
If a new writer, she comes over to you and says, "Hey Jessica, well, you've been a copywriter for 14 damn years. You've got shitloads of experience behind your back. I mean, if I were to go about building my freelance online writing career, what most crucial steps will you guide me through?" This is a new writer asking you.
So, for a new writer, the number one piece of advice that I have, no matter what type of writer that you are, is to write. Just write. Write anything you can get your hands on. Write in a journal, write in a blog, write articles, write fiction, write nonfiction. Just write. It helps you build your skills. It helps you find your voice, which I know a lot of people are concerned about voice, and we're going to be talking about that today.
Yeah.
But just write. Don't hold yourself back.
Yeah, in fact, on that point, I'd like to add that a lot of people who come over to apply and who want to work with me in contentorial and SV, they keep saying, but it's tedious. Where do I start? And how do I just stare a blank screen and come up with creative ideas? So yeah, just write, man. Just get started from somewhere.
Absolutely, yeah. And free writing is a really good way to kind of break through that block. And when you're staring at that blank screen, write what you're thinking. Write, this blank screen is terrifying. I don't know what to write. Just write it out. Eventually, your brain's going to kind of click, and better writing is going to come out of it. I promise. So yeah, that's my number one tip. And then my second tip is don't be afraid to call yourself a writer. I think so many people are so scared to call themselves a writer when they don't have anything published, or at least they haven't gotten paid for anything yet. I think there's kind of a blockage there that until you get paid for writing, you're not a writer, and that's not true. If you write, you're a writer. When I was first starting out in my career, if I hadn't been brave enough to tell my colleagues, I'm a writer, well, they never would have realized that I can write, and I never would have been asked to write product copy for that merchandising website. I wasn't afraid to call myself a writer, and that really, really helped me in my career. So that's my second piece of advice. Don't be afraid to call yourself a writer. If you write, you are a writer. Yeah, so my third piece of advice is to learn how to pitch yourself. That's very challenging for writers. I think we just want to write. That's why we do what we do. We just want to write. But you have to kind of learn how to sell yourself in a way. And no matter what medium that you're writing in, there's a pitch process for it. So, figure out kind of what genres you're interested in and learn how to pitch for those genres. Learn how to pitch magazine articles to magazines. Learn how to, pitch guest posts to websites. Learn how to pitch, novel ideas for a fiction novel. But learn how to pitch yourself. Publishers or magazines of any kind, go look at their submission guidelines. Figure out what they're looking for. It's gonna make things easier once you get really, really familiar with that. And then even another one that most people probably wouldn't even think of is ads. Look at ads for copywriters. Look what people are looking for. Again, it kind of helps you, well, it gets you comfortable with what editors, publishers, businesses are looking for. And I think it makes it easier to sell yourself when you understand the guidelines.
Wow. Thank you so much for those awesome tips for the newbie girl, and I'm sure she's just jumping with these pointers now. I'm really, really curious to know more about your future project. Fill me in on that.
Yeah, I'm always kind of working on something, so this answer changes all the time, but I'm working on a few blogs for businesses, and I manage a couple of websites for a couple of different businesses. I'm also writing a book, which, yeah, it's kind of an evolution. It's coming about as I'm writing it, but the overall theme of the book is successfully taking creative projects from start to finish. Because I know that I'm guilty of this, starting a project and never finishing it. Yeah, I would never do that for a client, of course.
No,
but
only for yourself, right?
Yeah,
it's so
well, and
mean doing that to yourself.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of where this book came from, is I noticed I have no problem finishing projects for clients. But then when it's my personal projects, I fizzle out halfway through, and I thought, why is that? Why can I finish projects for clients without even thinking about it? But then I can't finish my own creative projects. And I found that there are a few things about a paid project that make me carry it through. And I'm trying to apply that to my own personal creative projects now, and I'm finding it really works. So I'm trying to write a book about it.
I'm gonna write a book.
Oh, good. I'm putting the book to practice as I'm writing it. Because it's a creative project in and of itself, So I'm thinking, okay, I've got these steps that I wanted to take a creative project from start to finish. I'm going to practice that by writing this book. So I'm taking this book from start to finish.
Great. What's that one killer thriller one-liner that you would tell aspiring copywriter?
You're writing for somebody else. It's about the client. What is the client's end goal? What is the client's voice? It's about the client. It's not about your personal creative satisfaction. Copywriting is absolutely about your client. So get your ego out of it. Number one, don't be afraid to be edited. Definitely get your ego out of it, and just understand that most of the time somebody's going to have something to say about your writing, whether it's, I don't like the direction this is going. Can we change direction? Or that word, I don't like that word. There's always going to be something that they're going to have feedback on, and you can't take offense to that. If you're going to be a professional writer, you have to have a thick skin, and you have to be willing to get that feedback and get that editing. And yeah, so again, take your ego out of it. And more about the editing too. A lot of people, the editing is just the most painful process for them. I don't find this personally. I love the editing process, but take the time to edit your work. Whether you're doing it for a client or your own blog. Do that extra round. Read it through one more time. Look for the misspellings. I have two killer thriller tips there. Is get your ego out of it and edit. Do the editing. Yeah.
Thanks for the bonus tip too. Bonus killer thriller tip.
If you want to be a writer, go for it. Write. Call yourself a writer.
Thank you for sharing all your wonderful tips, techniques, strategies, telling me about your life, and just helping these women out there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and if you want to reach out to me, you can find me on Twitter. My handle is Horizon Peak. That's HORIZONPEAK.
Thanks.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This has been such a great conversation.